And you can even get your mobile to be bridged in. So even your mobile will be, will be ringing or whatever. So that actually unifies everything. And the single pin, the unified pin, allows you to connect to voicemail, connect to this user portal. You can log in through your mobile phone. It's just you have these desktop applications that you can actually get IAM and everything integrated into it. So if you have an IAM client and you just connect into our server, or we have our own client called the Druid communicator. I think it's just a university network trying to get me to authenticate or something. I'm not. So I don't want to set this up. Yep, don't worry about it. So anyway, we have this unified pin that pretty much connects everything across the board. It's another aspect of it. So say I want to log in as user 1000. Again, if you notice when I click login, the password box kind of expands funnily. That's because this is not an SSH, but we still encrypt the password in JavaScript. We do this kind of chat authentication. So we get nouns from the server, and then we hash the thing with the nouns and send it back, and nouns is held in the section. So it's just a way of securing things when people don't want to do it over SSH or for whatever reason. SSL, sorry. Now this is a different part of the interface. This is the user login part, where users can actually go in and do cool stuff. Like they have a unified mailbox. No mails or anything on this machine. So this unified mailbox is actually an IMAP account that's running in the system. It's automatically configured when you connect a phone, create an extension, you automatically get an IMAP account, you get an IAM account, you get everything across the board. So when you basically, this is our web interface into that IMAP server, which you can also connect using Outlook or whatever you want to use. There is call routing. This is for your extension. How do you want calls that are hitting your phone to be handled? Certain times of day you want them handled in a certain way, other times of day. So these are some of the cool things. Like certain times of day you can say mobile bridging. So any call that comes to your extension will ring your mobile phone too. You can actually pick it up and you can transfer calls to a local internal extension or record a call. You can do some cool things. Follow me is also pretty cool. Actually start calling up all the numbers you've listed and start hunting for you. So it'll actually ask the person, please say your name. Say the guy says Naveen. And it'll just start calling and say, Naveen, trying to get you. Do you want to pick it up, one or two? So it's pretty cool. Or you can just hang up certain times of day. But I do most of the time. So these are some basic things. Again, you notice this extra interface tricks. And you can actually record your name or whatever you want. What did I bind to this phone? I found 1002. So let me just log in. So we can actually do, like, I want to record my name, but it's not recorded right now. System likes if the name's in there, because then you can use it to announce when you're busy or unavailable or whatever. So you can just click that and the thing will ring, so I can just pick it up and say, Vikram. So the system knows about me. So next time is probably if I click it, not going to actually does apologize. But it's not supposed to show up. So this is our open source code, so it's always actively being developed. So this is directly out of our trunk, if you notice. The trunk up there, so we have a lot of developers all over the world who are constantly contributing. We have a bug testing, and so this code is pretty active code, right? So for all you know, some guy could be committing to it right now. So again, there are call records, and you can actually blacklist people. So you can, say that ex-girlfriend, don't want to call anymore. Put a name in there, and bye-bye. So we have some bunch of other cool features. You can actually connect the speaker here and the overhead paging to page the phones. So these are pretty standard things, but we've actually now extended it all the way to the BlackBerry. So we have a SOAP API, so people can actually connect and use all these features. So you can use a SOAP API to write a client to actually access your IMAP. Our IMAP here is not really for mail. Okay, it's mostly for voicemail and faxes. So we integrated for. So you can actually get access to that account. You can get access to your IAM. The IAM is pretty cool too. So if you do login, you get all the users automatically on your roster. Everybody, because we integrated the IAM actually into our system and we control it from the back end. So it's not like we just install that bunch of softwares onto a CD and said it's actually integrated pretty well together. And well, that's that. So coming back to the down to my talk now. So I'm talking about web apps. What I mean by web apps are basically not really websites or that angle. I'm talking about applications that were traditionally on a desktop or you expected them to be desktop or something. Moving them to a online space. Even CRM and stuff has traditionally been the desktop. The Sugar CRM and a whole bunch of people are moving this kind of stuff online. If you look there online, there is the software like Compare and stuff, which is ERP software that is still an application. So, to actually move that online, you need to give people a certain kind of experience and a certain kind of usability, so I'm talking about that. I guess, I know most of you are pretty well versed with the stuff, so I'm not going to bother you. You guys know how the web used to be, not very great. Then, people ended up Web 1.0, and that's where most people still are. What I mean by that is, I know these just, were numbers, but what I mean is a lot of people still use PHP frameworks, and the frameworks actually bind you into their way of things and expect you to do certain ways and can't really be flexible. Then minimal use of JavaScript. Most people end up using JavaScript for some basic thing, maybe some nice cool effect or something, but not really to improve the experience, not to help people. So there's a Web 2.0. A lot of these are buzzwords, but they also mean a lot. We actually use most of this stuff. Ajax, everyone knows what that is. That is the dynamic asynchronous calls and everything. So Comet is another cool backend framework. What Comet basically is, it's like a pub/sub mechanism. If anyone's familiar with XMPP, so it's a pub/sub mechanism where you actually subscribe to a channel using HTTP, and then they'll just send you back messages whenever anyone else puts them in there. So you can write a web-based chat client using Comet. So there are already Comet servers. If anyone's a Java programmer, there's Jetty. It's an engine which actually supports Comet in a big way. So there's Flex and Flash, which is again open source and a lot of people use it. And I put that up there because that actually has backends for Comet and Ajax. So then JavaScript UI frameworks. This is what we use a lot. We actually use JavaScript to create our user interfaces, and obviously HTML is used, but most of the HTML is actually rendered by the JavaScript and stuff. It's a pretty cool thing. JSON RPC. JSON itself is a serializing technology to serialize data structures to help you move data structures between PHP or any language for that matter and the web. So you can have like a associative array, and you can have that associative array just show up in JavaScript just like an associative array. So you don't have to do some crazy post pushing or parse comma delimited text that's sent by the server or something weird. JSON RPC is again using the same technology for remote procedure calls. I want to be sure one time. So for remote, so you can actually execute a call. You can say get names in JavaScript, and that will cause an event to go back and actually get back an array from PHP of all the names, say, of the students in this place or whatever. So that actually is pretty nice because it extends your programming from JavaScript to PHP without really having you to worry about a lot of the backend and stuff like that. So PHP as middleware, that's again something that's basically PHP not really being used to serve the site or to render things, but actually as a backend to serve the data structures. So I'll quickly go through this online creation of the desktop application. So what I mean by that is dynamic content. Basically, the desktop application needs to be recreated online. So a bunch of things that you have to keep in mind. Content is dynamic, could be a ERP app or some kind of trading app where a lot of data is changing on the screen, so you might want to choose appropriate technologies for that. Familiar look and feel, so it needs to look like a desktop app, feel like something you've traditionally been used to, so that needs to be kept in mind. Responsive interface, obviously you don't want to click there and wait for the whole page to reload and refresh and all that. That's just bad. Data-driven use of data. Okay, well, a lot of these things have backend databases and all kinds of data structures. So those need to be actually pushed up into the browser, and most of them are structured data. It could be an object which has